And that's what you call dramatic pause, because I wanted you to see the wallpaper that I had up there, because it is pertaining to the X-Men. That's right. We're talking about the X-Men tonight. And we are talking with some X-Men fans that are going to be on the panel tonight. We're going to talk about our top 10 X-Men, why that is. We're going to be showing off some comics and such. And feel free to opine in the chat, because that always makes it more fun. And look at that. Dale of Suspense saying, first, we always remember our first, Dale. So you are special too. And so first off with us, long time friend of the channel, but haven't been on the same stream with her, and it seems like forever. Lady Fantastic, what's up?
Hey, not much, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I had fun pulling these issues, went through some memories.
Oh, yeah.
Memory lane, and it was tough, actually. It was tough ranking them. That, we all know who like the best are, but then like trying to decide, it's
like
tough.
Who's the very best, right?
Yeah.
And there's at least one person on my top 10 list that I wouldn't say is my favorite, but I just felt like I would be sinful not to put them on the top 10 somewhere. So
I felt that way too, and I'll tell you which one that was.
Yep. So we will get to that. But when I started thinking about doing this show and talking about the top 10 X-Men, you were one of the first people that came to mind as somebody who is an X-Men fan and have been for a long time. You're not that much younger than me, so we were reading comics about the same time. And I just want to say, as an aside, that I'm glad that you finally got rid of the alias on Instagram and that you actually –
Yeah, I had that first, though, before I had my YouTube. But then it was just like, oh, my gosh, this is just too much. I have to change it. So.
All right. So good deal. Glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
So let's bring the next panelist out, Mr. Collector. What's up?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Appreciate y'all having me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm making sure my audio is working. But no, it's going to be a good night. Appreciate you having me on, Southern. Yeah, I think we're waiting on one more. But other than that, I'm excited. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so Mr. Dapper Dan himself, the man with whose hair I am very jelly of, is here tonight. And what Dapper Dan here also represents is a little bit of a younger demographic in talking about the X-Men. It'll be interesting to see how that slants who his favorite artists are, because I will say, spoiler alert, but I will say that early on when I was going through this list, I'm like pretty hard pressed for some of the newer artists to be in that top. And that goes back to that I am very slanted by the stories themselves. And so, and here's our disclaimer before we get any mad hate mail or comments, that we don't pick your guy or you didn't rank him high enough. Everybody has their own opinion, and that's just what we have here on the panel. And everybody's okay, despite what the day's current events tell us. Everybody's okay to have different opinions on stuff, right? And so, obviously, we're slanted by our age, when we started reading them, and all those other kind of stuff that what Tacoma says, Dave Cockrum,
Stop. Just stop. Good God.
So yeah, I mean, you're going to be slanted by that when you start picking up the first X-Men title or any title that you talk about and who's your favorite artist are. But mine's certainly slanted by the writers themselves. So
Samesies.
We've got Tacoma. We see what is fueling his ambition tonight. All right, we got the comic book G-Man. What's going on? He's got an open mic show tomorrow. I saw when I was.
Oh yeah, I need to. I hope I can try and make that, G-Man.
And we are also supposed to have another panel member who texted me earlier and said that he was going to be late, and so we'll let him join in.
No, you're good to come.
Oh, you're good. But yeah, so he will be late. So the way we're going to do it is this, because I thought about doing. Like Collector had suggested, which was like do everybody's number 10 and kind of hash it around. But then with Michael being late, I didn't want to hold out because I know that Lady is also going to be on another show tonight.
It's true. I'm making my rounds. I get around. I'm a little promiscuous with the
Hey, there's a con coming up in Nashville.
Nashville.
When
I'm
is
going
that? Next month or
June.
June? Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go there. I'll be there.
Is that the week of Heroes or week before Heroes or?
Before, I think it's a week before, because Heroes like 14th through 16th, and this is like second through fourth or something.
Yeah, because I've got Dallas Fan Expo, which is one that I go to every year. We've already got a rooms book. I know Mr. Collector is going to be making his way up there as well. Rob's Fat Stack of Comics. What is going on? I'm actually going to be on Rob's channel. Rob, remind me of the date because I don't remember, and I got to take a picture of me in a slab and send it to you. Yeah, Tacoma, life gets that way sometimes. And we got Stan. What's going on? Hello, friends. No, I don't think he even starts his channel out that way no more. I mean, I guess it was just like faux pas. Maybe we're not as friends no more. I don't know. Just joking. But he's doing a lot of knife content these days. And I think he did. He just crossed over 1,000 subs. And
Nice.
so obviously there's a big market for knives, pocket knives out there.
I made my own. This is a Benchmade. I'm not even kidding you. I made a Benchmade. I customized my own knife. So I got a Griptilian case here. That's an old case. I like case peanuts because they're like miniature raccoon claw size. But this is a miniature Griptilian, and I bought the scales secondhand. That's beautiful case. My grandpa had a lot of old cases. This is aircraft grade aluminum, and it's you can get a good grip on it. Scissors, sweet scissors. But yeah, anyways. So many scissors. So yeah, I'm a nerd.
He made those in craft class today.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Oh yeah, I resemble that remark.
I know.
Yeah,
But if you're Southern, it's just been a thing. Like with my dad, my grandpa, my uncles. Like if you're a Southern farmer, you have a pocket knife. That's just it's like a thing.
Yeah. Like they pull you over, on the side of the road and they say, do you have a pocket knife? I'm going to direct you a ticket because you don't have a pocket knife.
I know, right?
Sure.
It's a law.
We got Kenneth Burt up in the house. What's going on, Kenneth? One of the folks that visits every show that I've ever seen. I think Kenneth is in the chat. Don't know how he does it, but appreciate his support. And Rob's Fat Stack of Comics says May the 25th will be my chance to be on Only Slab. So I've still got a little bit more time to get everything. Because when you're multiple times on a show like that, I don't want to bring the same stuff every time. So it's like I got to go back and watch it and remind myself what I took the first time. Look at that. I stalled long enough to bring in Steven Seagal.
Hey, that's what I was hoping for.
What's going on?
Thanks.
How's everything going for you tonight?
It's hectic, but got some great deals today.
Good.
Oh. Were you out there with Collector and Paul and them?
Paul? Who?
Yeah, I saw Paul in a picture with
Rob
Collector.
and Paul.
No, I was on the other side. When they go right, I go left.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you want to get to the deals before they do, right? You don't want to go behind Collector, especially when he turns his hat backwards.
I lost that hat.
I seen that happen once, and woo-wee.
I mean, it's nothing but bones left, no deals. And I'll tell you another person you don't want to get behind trying to hunt for stuff, and that's Lady Fantastic. I mean, she's got a nose for that kind of stuff. And like Nashville is loaded with great comic shops. And like she just goes in this one shop and they don't even price signatures. You just find it like
I bought a Steranko for $29.99 last Friday. A Strange Tale signed by Jim Steranko.
And talking about Steranko's signature is not one of those that you can like fake,
It's
like,
not cheap.
Yeah. And then, it's not cheap. Well, we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll do it like planned since Michael has made it now. And what we'll do is we'll go around the horn and we'll let everybody tell what their number 10 is, and then at the end, if we want to go back to do honorable mentions, if we have time, then we'll do that. because there was a couple on there that I felt bad for not. But you just got to make decisions, right? You know, you can have anything you want, you just can't have everything you want.
Yeah.
Telling y'all gonna see my list and be like,
Someone says he charges 54 sig, but you missed the handshake in the store. That's true. That's true. That's some of the value of that's the Ranko signature. That's for sure. All right, so ladies first here on the channel, and so what we're going to do is let me do this, and we're going to do Lady Fantastic front and center.
I'm starting with number 10. My number 10 favorite X-Men artist. Don't hate me,
Okay.
but it's Jack Kirby. Okay. Because we had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone had to envision these characters. But he's not my favorite X-Men artist. But I have to put him on this list. It's obligatory. He's the one that envisioned them. So, number 10, Jack Kirby, issue 14, first appearance of the Sentinels and Bolivar Trask.
And a great example of Kirby hands, right?
Very Kirby. They're very square-ended, square tips, and they're just coming right out at you. He's very dynamic. He's trying to create a lot of the idea of movement or the illusion of movement. So
well, and like you, spoiler alert, but I think much the same way when it comes to Kirby and making this list, because you're almost obligated to do it, because I mean it's one thing to be able to have the talent to draw at the level these guys and gals draw, but it's another thing entirely when you're just making it up as you go.
He created them, so. This is the start, the primer, you know what I mean? Yep. So I had to say Jack Kirby at my 10. So
Very nice. Very nice. All right, Mr. Collector, what say you for number 10?
All right, let me share my screen.
Okay. He's done figured it out now, folks.
I figured it out.
Oh, shoot.
And my pick is, can y'all see it?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Greg Land. Greg Land. So he was the one that actually ended the original run.
Uncanny X-Men, yeah.
Yeah. So I got to give him that. And I mean, honestly, I'm going to bring this back over here because I have to do it this way, unfortunately. But I don't want y'all to see my entire list. But by far, I think he draws the best Storm.
Okay.
Yeah.
By far, he is amazing. Yeah.
His females.
Yes, and I was just about to say the same thing. The sorry, I keep having to do this.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, look at that right there. I mean, that's art right there.
Girl.
The colors,
hey,
and everything.
girl.
Yeah. So,
what you doing?
I love the way he got in the book. So, but yeah, this is definitely my number 10 pick. I wish he was in the run more. He was in 2008 to the end of 2011, but I mean he did amazing covers too. But yeah, by far that's my my number 10.
Very cool.
Okay, that was a surprise pick in my mind. A surprise pick. Okay. All right, let's move over to
Michael.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where we need to go. There we go. All right, Mr. Presses.
I would start with David Cockrum because I think my generation, even though Jack Kirby started it all, and obviously he wasn't a favorite artist of mine because he wasn't my era, but I've grown to appreciate him and a lot of the detail that he does background wise. But David Cockrum, I think he was the one that I would always see in like coloring books or anytime that they would show printed anything in print that wasn't comic book that was, doing the history or showing the X-Men or characters. Cause you had like Kitty Pryde was introduced by him and a lot of the stuff and then on top of that, he was the one with the Chris Claremont era. So, so when the X-Men were rejuvenated by Chris Claremont after Lin Wen, when he took it over solo, Dave Cockrum was one of the very first artists that was grouped with him. So that was my beginning, was Dave Cockrum.
All right, that is a good one to have, Dave Cockrum. All right, well, let's go over to myself, and my number 10 is going to be John Romita Jr. Now, John Romita Jr. Is definitely one that can be, to me, he's one of these artists that like he can do some things good, but like some things he just is like a total miss for me. And so when it comes to X-Men, he had two basic runs on the X-Men. You know, he had the age old, you know, he drew classic covers such as this. Also, the 25th anniversary cover is one that he did.
Oh, yeah, that one's great.
And so these are from the 80s run. And then he came back in the 90s and had a run on there around the time of Fatal Attractions, the hologram covers, all that kind of stuff. He was doing that. I even kind of really like more when he had developed as an artist, and that probably lends to who his inker was then. Dan Green, who's since passed away, but was his inker on a lot of the mid 90s stuff. So he was one that felt like he had two really good runs. He did Uncanny X-Men 200, which was used for the latest installment of the X-Men cartoon. You know, they lifted that storyline and that costume from there. So definitely one that I wanted to not forget, but he wasn't high up on the list. So Jedi Farce is already throwing the gauntlet down, as similar to Tacoma earlier, and saying that John Byrne is the man. We got Unruly Simeon up in the house. What's up? And Tacoma was amening your pick there, Michael, earlier. And yes, it is a hard deal. And like I said before, kind of the disclaimer is that not going to be able to get anybody. I know that I have a couple of honorable mentions, because the way I try to narrow it down, if you would, like if there was not a huge body of work that they had, they might have only done a couple of issues. Let's take, for example, Jim Steranko, somebody who only done a couple of issues, right? Now, you could say it's very important issues, first appearance of Polaris, the whole title change that they're still using today. But nevertheless, only 3 issues. So, you know, I don't know that he could be up there with that defining for that reason. But all right, so none of us have agreed thus far. So we'll see if we can do anything different the next round, and we'll start off again with the Lady Fantastic.
Pepe Larraz.
Okay.
Pepe Larraz. So good for modern times. He's really captured the type of interior art that I appreciate, which is, I like the more realistic. I don't like the cartoony, but you know, that's just a preference.
Yeah.
And it's context dependent, but I just really love his art. And he did the first time I encountered him was X-Men 92. He did interior art for X-Men 92, and I really liked it. And then I read Hoxpox and I stopped. But, you know, yeah, I like Pepe Larraz as an interior artist. So I'm putting him at number 10. He's the most current artist of the entire list.
Yeah, and if I didn't mention it earlier, that one of the other stipulations that we had on this was for interior artists. So there's some people that are doing a lot of just covers these days, and so they wouldn't have fell into this category. But Pepe Larraz is certainly a good pick.
Yeah.
And very recent. ME Comics, what's going on? How are you? Enjoyed the art from that run. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I quite liked it.
Yep. All right, let's move over to the Collector.
All right. Get this. My number 9 is not far from where you were, Southern. Should be coming up. There you go.
Okay.
John Romita.
Cool.
Yeah. I like his work,
comment.
but it's the same thing as what you were saying, like hit or miss. But when he does hit, like right here, Phoenix,
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. Like, I mean, it's just bright. And then, of course, he did
so pretty.
Yes, and then he did the Marauders.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I like about his art is any little space he fills it in. Like he doesn't leave one little empty space where he's not coloring something or drawing something in there. So, like you said though, he's a hit or miss, but I mean I think he should definitely be on this list, and that's why I have him on number 9.
Yeah, and I know that it shouldn't count, right? But he's such a nice guy too. So I know it shouldn't count, whether or not you're a douche or a nice person, but it does help. I think it can't hurt. It can't hurt. So, all right, JRR is Mr. Collector's number 9. Michael, what say you?
I say Andy Kubert.
Okay.
He did, even though he did a fantastic run. I think the first time he takes over X-Men, he's still learning a lot of how to draw and how to do a lot of the pacing, because he gets better. Like I think he was on there for quite a bit, because he went from X-Men to Uncanny, and him and his brother, they swapped out. And when he got to, I think, the Apocalypse storyline, his artwork doesn't look nothing like this. And
so great wraparound cover, marriage of Jean and Cyclops. What's interesting, and I really don't need to chase too many rabbit trails because we'll never get through on time. But what's interesting is that how the new X-Men cartoon really leans into Cyclops, like what I think of classic Cyclops, like the field leader, because
he's cooler. I mean,
he's
just
much cooler. So it's like
he's very limp-wristed in a lot of the comics, and in this, he's just like
because I was not a fan of what they did with him and Emma Frost.
I don't have Disney.
Yeah, I was just like, that's so trash.
I don't know what y'all are talking about.
It's okay.
So we'll go ahead and throw the gauntlet down here.
I'm going to step away while y'all talk about that.
Well, who's the better Kubert, Andy or Adam?
I don't know. I want to say Adam. I met both of them. I met him. I even met their father once before he passed away. Yeah, and man, it's really hard because Adam. I had grouped them one time. I can't remember. I think Adam has the thicker lines when he draws.
And Adam's more like he really did some great Wolverine stuff.
Yeah. He's still doing great Wolverine stuff. Right. And a lot of I've heard Andy be more of a Jim Lee clone than anything. Which look, Jim Lee's on this list. Spoiler alert. So I mean, it's not like that's a bad thing. But I would say Adam would be my favorite of the Kubert brothers. And then, of course, Emma. Emma is Adam's daughter, right? Emma Kubert, or is that Andy's daughter?
Oh, I don't know about Emma Kubert.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because she's drawing stuff now.
I know Emma Frost, but I don't know Emma Kubert.
Not the same one. Far less close.
I think Andy has drawn a couple. I think it was Superman, where it looked a lot like he channeled Bill Sienkiewicz.
Oh.
Trying to think it was him. Because they work in the same months, whether it's a Marvel or DC book, is a little hard to differentiate them. It would be better if it was like maybe there was a gap in years between the two doing the book monthly. But it's kind of hard for me to tell which one's which.
Yeah, Emma is Andy's daughter. So Emma is Andy's daughter, and of course Joe. So they're like the Ramitas in the sense that they're like a royal family, so to speak, inside the comic book stuff.
So what about you, Southern?
What's that?
What's yours?
My number 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Your turn.
All right, that's the way to keep me back on track. All right, number 9, right here, Pepe Larraz. So eventually it had to happen that somebody would agree with something. So and I don't know if we were before we went on air or if it was after we went on air, but when I was looking back at the stuff, obviously I'm very slanted by the stories and growing up when I did the stories that I read. And I just, full disclosure, again, no hate mail, just one man's opinion. House of X and Powers of 10 started off with great, like, I mean, it's what got me back into collecting comics. I never quit reading comics, but I quit getting floppies. I would get graphic novels, read it digitally, whatever. But it's what got me collecting comics again. And so, like, such great promise, and then it just fizzled out. And to go to the point to where they're the antithesis of what I always knew the X-Men to be, which were people that, hey, we're different, but we're going to, regardless of how people can be, I'm going to try to be the better person, and we're going to rise together, right?
Yeah, they went full, like, screw y'all.
Yeah, screw y'all, I'm out. You know, let's go terraform Mars.
So we're the superior beings.
Yeah, I mean, and again, and here's about this issue right here. I actually bought this in a comic shop in Washington, Everett, Washington, which is right across the street from the Funko headquarters, Funko Pop headquarters. And again, it goes back to the story, and I believe Hickman was writing this.
Yeah,
this is where they're going after the Sentinels, and it's this panel right here, and lady, you might remember this, where Nightcrawler, who's always been the religious guy in the group, Wolverine are sitting there facing down death, and he's like, I got to ask, you still think there's something waiting for me on the other side? And he says, are you worried about yourself? I'm just wondering. He says, well, when you wake up from this earthly slumber, my friend, look for me. I'll be there for you. And so, like, Nightcrawler and Wolverine, Colossus, that group has just always been like the amigos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, and then he teleports him out, which kills him, and Wolverine takes out the Sentinel head and dies too. And I remember reading this, I'm like, what the crap? I get back into comics and they're gonna kill him off. I mean, what's going on?
I know.
Because you would think by now that you would realize that, hey, nobody stays dead. Most nobody. Captain Marvel is a rare exception, but you would think by now I would know that. But when the miracle, the magic of comics is when you can get the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah,
like you can believe it. You're like, oh wow, okay.
Number 8.
So number 8. Let's go, lady. What you got?
Andy Kubert.
Okay.
Andy Kubert. Yep. Feel the same way as Michael Press and Braces. Sorry. Yep. This is, as a kid, I remember getting these issues. I remember getting the marriage of Scott and Jean, loving it. This is a lot of how my early childhood, when I first started getting into X-Men, how I was introduced to them and envisioned them as a young child. So this was it. Thank you, Andy, for your service.
Yeah, he had a really good run on the X-Men Volume 2, or the Jim Lee X-Men, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you go, I mean, Jim Lee, of course, leaves to go be one of the Image founders,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, where do you go from here, right? I mean, Marvel, puts Andy on the hot selling book, and he took it and ran with it,
Yeah, I mean, he did a good job.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
Mr. Collector, what you got for us, sir?
Get this. This is gonna be a random one, but Mike Collins. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Well, he only did 2 issues," but yeah, he only did 2 issues. But I mean, I think he made one of the coolest, or designed one of the coolest characters, which is Gambit. So that's who I got on here. I think it's a cool character, cool design, and I think overall I like the way it came out, and I don't know. That's what I got on here. I mean, I know we have to go based off a story and everything, but another thing is, came out in '90, and I was born in '90, so it makes sense to add him on the list. But yeah, I mean, Gambit's a huge part of the X-Men team, and that's who I wanted to put on here. So, and I love the design and everything, so that's who I had on here.
Good call.
Mr. Collector is certainly the dark horse guy tonight. You know, he's the one bringing the people like, oh yeah,
yeah,
think about
yeah.
him.
I'm telling you, I got one more on the list like this, so prepare yourself.
What
Mr.
say
Michael.
you?
Mine would be John Byrne.
Whoa. Okay. All right, go ahead. Say your part, and then we got to get into this.
I know.
Well, because his artwork was something that I always liked. He did an amazing job. I liked him better on a lot of other titles. Well, growing up, X-Men wasn't really a hot book for me. It was more Superman. John Byrne doing Superman, him doing Fantastic Four. His Fantastic Four, I went after like if I could get a deal, if I could find one in good condition at a good price, and I had the, at the time, pocket change. Not having a good job or a high paying job. Hey, I'd rather get John Byrne Fantastic Four. X-Men really was not a title or a book that people talked about, and now that I appreciate it more, I'm going back and I'm getting the John Byrne X-Men.
Yeah. Well,
a lot of key issues with John Byrne. Lots of key issues, first appearances.
Sure.
With him, I mean, the man is great. If you go back and look, a lot of the runs that he's done are going up in value. Fantastic Four is if you get 9/8 on Fantastic Four, John Byrne's, they're over a couple $100. His X-Men are that way. His DC work, not so much, but even his She-Hulks are starting to pick up steam. I mean, the man's just good writing and artistically.
Well, I mean, he's left a mark not only on X-Men for sure, but she mentioned She-Hulk. I mean, She-Hulk broke the fourth wall before Deadpool did.
Right.
So, and it was the basis for the She-Hulk show. So,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
There was an argument that Howard the Duck broke the fourth wall before She-Hulk, but I'm not sure. I think that's kind of questionable because I feel like She-Hulk really talked to us, but whatever.
Well, I mean,
that was the whole series.
Yeah, that would be it. Like just an occasional, like whatever, but no, like she does it all the time, just like Deadpool does. So
it's like a conversation she's having with the reader.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So wow. Okay. John Byrne down on the list. Okay.
All right. You can't show your emotions that much. That's some emotions for me. Because I feel your same emotions, but we just need to calm down.
All right. So I mentioned earlier that Andy Kubert, I've heard people say that he's more of a Jim Lee clone, which if he's following Jim Lee on a book makes perfect sense that he would try to kind of get some of those magical juices flowing on the thing. Well, let's talk about an artist that you went from like standard comic drawing to something that really wasn't as popular then as it is today. And that is Joe Mad. So my number 8 is Joe Madeira.
Interesting.
And so, his more cartoony type, Japanimation, anime type of an art was a big stretch from what we were used to on the X-Men title back in those days. And then, he hit the ground running right before the whole Phalanx Covenant deal, which if you remember the little hollow foil covers, some great stuff. And, I like hyper realism and all that kind of thing, but it was just something about when Joe Mad's drawing, Scott Lobdell was writing it. And I'm like, I'm digging this. It's not normally the art that I would like. But I was digging it back in the day. There's a newsstand and also, of course, X-Men 350.
It's a cool one.
I love that.
Is it a newsie?
I have a newsstand of this one, but I don't know if I grabbed that one or not.
Is it for sale?
No. This is the direct version of it, but I do have a newsstand of that one. So of course that's when they find out where they retconned Gambit to be the one that led the Marauders after the Morlocks, right? And this is the big secret that they've been building up to for quite a while. I don't mind retcons when they make sense. Like when they did the Age of Apocalypse, stuff where they retconned Sugar Man to be the one for Genosha that kind of made the mutates, and then Dark Beast was the one that had gone back and became the one that created the Morlocks. It made sense. And the same thing with Gambit, that being what the big bad secret was the entire time, was okay. Sometimes they, in an effort to create excitement, they do these retcons that make zero sense. And so, all right, let's go over to the Lady Fantastic for your number 7.
Jim Lee.
Okay, Jim Lee down on the list for the lady. Okay,
he's a little. It's not for not loving him, but there's just other ones that took my heart first, and I hope that he can forgive me. But
what's the first X-Men book do you remember reading? Was it X-Men number 1, or was it one of the earlier Uncannies?
The first X-Men that I remember reading, it's the one. It's like, I want to say it's X-Men 178. Is that the one that's like green background, mohawk, storm flying in the air, and then a blob on the ground? Or is that 187? Let me look that up. That's definitely the first one.
Almost says 149.
That's not.
That might be his.
Let me see. X-Men.
What number did you say?
I think it's like it's maybe 187, 178, or 287. X-Men 187.
187 is a John Romita Jr. cover with the die erased from ROM.
Green cover. It's got a green cover and Mohawk Storm. Oh,
Carrie Gamil with the snake.
Tell me what issue.
I don't know. She's like,
I'll find it in a second because that's 223.
But she's got she's got a knife. Yeah, that one. That's Carrie Gamil.
No, okay.
No,
she's fighting. That's the one where she was fighting.
Or 189.
Let me try 189. X-Men 189. Image. No, where can I look for all the X-Men images? Because I know it's in like the 180s. X-Men.
It's the 180s. Okay.
180s.
That's not her. That's not.
I remember a blob. The thing's throwing me off is the blob that you're talking about.
It's Kitty Pryde.
It's X-Men 178.
Oh, 178.
Or is it 178 or 179?
Yeah, 178, right there.
Yeah, X-Men 178. That's the first one I remember getting.
Okay.
And reading. And because I found it in that's it. It's 178.
The one John Romita Jr. run.
Could have been. Yep. But that's the one.
All right. Well, I guess that makes more sense. If you started reading closer to the Jim Lee run, you're probably slanted towards Jim Lee's. So since you read earlier, then yeah, probably not.
It's just the ones that I happen to find in the cheap bins.
Yeah.
With luck.
Yep. Well, all right. Let's go over to Mr. Collector. What do you got for your number 7?
I got, should be popping up,
Mark Silvestri. Okay.
So I like the way he draws his women too. Right here we have I like when he did the Goblin Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Like
another recently reused storyline.
And then of course, who can forget this first image you see right here?
Thor.
Yeah, Mr. Sinister right there. Obviously anyone that's watching the show knows, but just look at that. That's beautiful right there to me, and so that's why I picked for my number 7. I think
holding Sabretooth like a boss right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
so the because he only did from what late 80s to 90, right?
Yep. Yeah. Jim Lee basically picked up where he left off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's who I got for numbers. What were we on? 7? Yeah, 7.
Yep, number 7. All right, good pick. Let's go over to Mr. Precious.
I'm with Lady. Mine's number 7 is Jim Lee.
Okay.
And that's because, really, if you think about it, nothing key comes out of his run. There is nothing key. There's no storyline that gets resolved. There's no new storyline. The Lady Mandarin didn't go nowhere. Mm-hmm. The only book that's really worth anything is when his first time he takes over as penciler. But that's it.
248.
Yeah, exactly. Print. That's the only one. Otherwise, he contributed nothing on his first go around. And to tell you the truth, there's 3 Jim Lees that should be on here, because he goes from that, and when Chris Claremont leaves Uncanny, he takes over with John Byrne. Mm-hmm. Then he goes to X-Men with Chris Claremont. But yeah, that's my number 7.
All right,
Southern.
Well, let's go over to my number 7. I got too many piles right here. All right, number 7. Number 7 is going to be my number 7 is going to be Adam Kubert. Now, Adam really Adam is what I'm fixing to say will not sound like it makes a lot of sense. My next pick, but Adam is my favorite of the 2 Kubert brothers. But he did a lot less work, I think, on any of the main titles. He's obviously more known for his Wolverine work. He's still doing Wolverine to this day, but definitely a great artist. Sometimes if you think about somebody like a Romita Jr., totally different from his dad. And he told me the reason why is because he couldn't meet deadlines and could never be as good as his dad. Whereas I think that Adam and Andy both took it to the next level. They really were a chip off the old block and really, I would think, did their old dad proud. So my number 7 is Adam Kubert. So seeing a lot of the same names except for Mr. Collector, he's the dark horse out here. He's throwing these weird names out there and making people think.
I warned y'all before we came on here. I was like, look, y'all gonna look at me. I got one more that's gonna be, y'all gonna probably kick me out.
Okay, a little curveball. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, my number 6 is Mark Silvestri. This is not a Mark Silvestri cover, but it's issue 218. It's just a nice Juggernaut sequence. It just fights.
Yeah, that was a great story.
Yeah, I mean, I just really enjoyed him. So Mark Silvestri, number 6 for me. I like the way he did women, and I also thought he brought kind of that late 80s punk rock feel to it.
Yeah, I definitely think that he did that. That's for sure. So were you a fan of the Outback era of X-Men?
Yeah, I didn't mind it, but I don't know. I don't really have one feeling
one way or another. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, it fit the storyline at the time. I mean, they were just, the world discovered mutants and, didn't like them and everything. And they found a way to, after fighting the adversary, the whole world thought the X-Men were dead.
Right.
And they were undetectable by any type of
media, cameras and stuff.
Yeah, it was cameras. So they all went to the Outback to live a more quieter life.
Yep. And that's why Wolverine takes on the moniker of Patch, so that he doesn't spoil that, right? And so,
well, I think he wasn't part of that group, so he's not.
No, he was part of that.
Was he in the Outback? I can't remember. Patch? Maybe you are right. Maybe he leaves to go to Madripoor since nobody's looking for him.
Yep. Yep. And he was because if you recall the first early issue, Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew Spider-Woman was comes to Madripoor, and then she finds out it's Wolverine. She's like, wait a minute, I thought y'all were all dead. He's like, hey, I'm trying to keep it down low. That's why I got the disguise here patch. Which
Mr. Collector
doesn't last long. He only wears it, what, 1 or 2 issues?
Yeah, it's just the Buscema early issues of Wolverine, and kind of drops the patch. But Mr. Collector, what you got?
All right. This is my last oddball. So before y'all probably gonna kick me out, but it's all right.
Okay.
So I know he didn't work on too much, but the reason why is, and I know we weren't going based off of covers, but this right here is my all-time favorite X-Men cover. I love this book so much. Y'all gonna laugh at me. Anytime I see this book, I pick it up. I got like 25 copies of this book.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a newsstand copy of it too, huh?
Yeah, I got. But when I read it, because 450 and 451 go together with this book,
right?
And when she just demolished Wolverine at the end of 450, and then you go back to 451, he's just he's out. But I don't know. I mean, X-23 to me is probably one, if not probably my favorite considered X-Men character. And this is when she officially joined the team, was 451. And, those 2 little issues right there, I mean, I love them. So, I mean, I had to put them on this list. I mean, because, like I said, my favorite X-Men cover. I wish I could show the bottom, because Wolverine's on the bottom laying down underneath her. But that's who I have for my number 6.
So there's a Toy Biz version of that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there it is.
And that's where I first read that. I got the toy, and I saw that. I'm like, what is this? A female Wolverine? What's going on here? And I had Alan Davis on my honorable mentions because really he did more work with Excalibur, which is a main X-Men type, subtitle or whatever. But
which I loved. Excalibur.
Yeah, I mean, he had definitely one of the definitive Shadowcat, Nightcrawler, drawings are from Alan Davis. So good pick, good solid pick.
Thank you.
Let's go over to Mr. Precious.
My next one would be John Romita Jr.
All right, so Romita's a little bit up the ladder for you. All right, what you got?
It is because this is my era. This is where I started collecting X-Men, was the Mutant Massacre. That's where I started.
Yeah.
And if you look at his stuff, to me, I know there's a love-hate relationship with a lot of people. A lot of people hate him, but if you actually look at his, kind of like what Collector kind of touched up on, when he's got people fighting, he actually was the first one to show them with bruises, blood, a fat lip, unrecognizable. And not only that, I've told people plenty of times that not only does he do that, but he also gives people, like he gave Colossus a haircut, a different hairstyle. And I was like, I mean, come on. I mean, the guy can't look like he did way back in the 60s. He gives people updated looks. And I don't know if he got that from his father, which was more of a character design. And I mean, people just don't realize and don't pick up that Romita Jr. does update characters, give them different looks and stuff like that. And when they fight, he makes them look ugly. He did that with Spider-Man a lot.
Right.
And he doesn't get credit as much as I think he should. But I mean, and then like you said, he's a nice guy. I've met him a couple of times. He did a sketch for me once. He remembered that he promised me one, and tried to finish one up real quick. He said, "Can't finish it. I'll get you next time." We'll see.
Well, good solid pick there. So let's move over to myself here, and my number 6 is going to be Andy Kubert, and that's what I meant by the fact that I say Adam is actually my favorite Kubert brother. But I felt like on this list, because Andy did so much more work on the main X-Men titles that he needed to be further up this list than his brother was. Of course, great now classic cover. And the other thing with Andy coming off of a Jim Lee run and, the early 90s, X-Men 1 comes out, best-selling book of all time. No other comic will ever come close to it, because it's just a different
Turok 1.
Now, I didn't say how many copies I have.
Easy MT, easy MT.
Not how many copies I have of it. I'm saying how many actually were sold. But yeah, I mean, it'll never happen again. And so, I felt like being able to start at that number 1 and be able to continue. Whereas in Uncanny, I started collecting much later and didn't really have the comic shops around me to be able to get those deals. But yeah, he presided over a lot of great storylines. Andy Kubert is my number 6. So number 5, lady, what say you?
Art Adams.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite issues. Where Storm is worthy. X-Men go to Asgard, and she's worthy of lifting Mjolnir. So it's awesome. This is like a Journey into Mystery homage. 80, is it 83? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 83.
And so I love Art Adams. He draws things a little uniquely, but they're very detailed. And I just love his style. So yeah, that's who I'm going with. Boom. I loved his long shot too. The long shot series. So
I figured you would have pulled like the first real appearance of Gambit out to kind of showcase that one.
No. Storm. This one. I love this issue. So anyways, that's me. Number 5, Art Adams.
Mr. Collector, what say you?
All right. My number 5 is going to be John Byrne.
John Byrne. Okay.
So, I mean, Alpha Flight, Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost, and then who could forget? Well, I mean, you got them, this, but look at their faces, and you're thinking, what's going on? And then you see this, just Wolverine just demolished, like right there. I think that's out of all the stuff that he's drawn, this little image right there, that little box right there, just shows like, I don't know. There's so much going on right there, and that right there. I mean, that whole story arc, Days of Future Past. I mean, I think it was just an awesome story in general. So,
well, now you mentioned that whole story. Now, that's the brilliance, I think, not only of Chris Claremont writing it, but John Byrne illustrating it.
Yeah,
that story has been reused multiple times over the years. They've also done several like little spin-off storylines. They did one, I think, last year even, that was kind of related to that little story. It was only 2 issues.
Yeah, only 2.
And it's like, versus like these giant storylines that go 7 or 8 issues and then nobody remembers them 2 years later. I mean, people are still talking about Days. I mean, it's been adapted in the cartoon, X-Men cartoon. Yeah. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, okay.
That's my number 5.
All right, Mr. Prasis, what say you?
Right.
Number 5. We are halfway through.
Now we're getting to the where I'm calling the prettier drawings or artists. Alan Davis.
Okay, not much off than Collector. Yeah.
Even though he didn't do too much, he filled in a lot of different Uncanny titles. Mm-hmm. He did a lot of the annuals, and like y'all said, he goes to Excalibur, but I mean he drew a lot of the prettier. One of the first ones that draws the prettier women.
Well, so my favorite Alan Davis issue is not that one. I know that I'm horrible. Is the one where Psylocke fights Sabretooth for the first time.
That was the one that he didn't do that cover, but yes, that one.
And so where she, stands up against Sabretooth. So
Yes.
Nice.
all right. Number 5 to myself. A name I have not heard mentioned as of yet, and that is going to be Paul Smith. So Paul Smith, when you're talking about coming behind such greats as Byrne, as Cockrum, he had a very short-lived run on on Uncanny X-Men overall, but his art was during the time there's so much big stuff going on. If you think about when Rogue joins the team, Rogue now she's a household name because of the whole X-Men animated series, but back then she was a bad guy, right? And she comes and wants to join the X-Men. This is the issue where she teams up with Wolverine, and he doesn't really trust her, and he kisses her so she can get his healing factor and not die. Where Professor X ends up, I think, clone. This is after the Brood, right? So, Paul Smith is going to be my number 5. Straight Edge. Okay.
He's just being a dork. He's a low grades turd.
All right, Lady Fantastic. What say you on your number 4 pick?
I don't have an example of this one, but I loved Neil Adams 56 through 59
Okay.
on X-Men. The interiors of those issues were bangers.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I mean, when you think about Sauron, Havoc, did he do
The Sentinel
Living
fights in 59 with Cyclops and stuff? Oh, it was so great.
Yeah. That and
one of the few times I thought Cyclops was cool was in that issue.
Yeah, well, and when people think about Neil Adams' body of work, everybody obviously defaults to Batman, Green Arrow, that. But really, I mean, he had a really standout part in X-Men too.
It was very impactful. I actually have the first appearance of Sauron in a slab based on Lee Simeon, but actually I should have showed it. But anyways, derp. Next.
All right, Mr. Collector, what say you for your number 4 pick?
All right, I am gonna go with. Let's see if it comes up. Don Heck.
Okay, you said you were done throwing out the curveball. Here you go again.
Look, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. I love when he did the new outfits for them. Honestly, I still to this day like Cyclops. I think that's an amazing outfit, and I mean compared to some of the stuff I've seen,
that's 80s outfit to me for Cyclops. That seems like an 80s outfit.
Well, it's still it's off the same outfit that they designed back then. Same thing with Marvel Girl,
It's true.
But I mean, compared to some of the stuff I've seen thrown out today, I mean, I think that's just a classic outfit, and that's who I went with.
Yeah, Don Heck. Wow, man, that was a name that I did not expect to see tonight. Hey, this is great. It gets boring if everybody's is exactly the same thing. So, and it's good to hear the why behind that. So let's go to Steven Seagal himself. Let's find what's we got.
My next one is Art Adams.
Oh my gosh, yes, sir. Okay, so you picked a Storm too.
Yep.
Ooh, there you go.
Oh yeah. He does.
Art Adams Storm is like perfection.
And I mean, the man is just talented, and he, I've always liked a lot of his art styles, and no matter in what title, Long Shot was really great, and
Strange Academy, he did some rad covers.
Yeah, he sure did. The variants.
Yes, sir.
And I remember he even did a Superman. I think it was a Superman annual where he drew him and Batman in the style of Frank Miller.
Oh wow.
But yeah, that's my next one.
Art Adams, baby. All right. What about you, SCG?
All right, what we got here? Number 4, we've got Mark Silvestri.
Oh
So I was not a huge fan of the Outback era, but like everybody else that has already mentioned him, is for all the same reasons. His and so I don't know if you noticed this or not. I don't even think I realized this. I picked this one out to do an example for it. There's a little something else in there.
Ugh.
I don't even know if I realized that. I gotta check my CLZ to see if that was.
Does it have a stamp on it? See if it's got a stamp on the cover.
Nope.
When I see you in June, I'll stamp it.
So anyway, so in this story right here, the Siege Perleus portal that was given to them by Roma. This is when Rogue takes the Sentinel out, and they both go in the Siege Perleus portal. And of course, then that way later she comes back. She looks all different. That's when Jim Lee starts drawing her. But eventually they'll all walk through the Siege Perleus portal. If you remember, Colossus came back, 278, somewhere thereabouts, and didn't remember who he was because of how Psylocke. That's what happened to her when her and Quanon, that we found out later, how she got messed up there. But yeah, definitely. And Mark Silvestri is one of those that has really just continued to up his game as he's gotten older. He's just, gotten better. If you've read the Batman Joker series that he done for DC last year, I think it was, I think it's some of his best work yet. But he was definitely cutting his chops and doing a good job picking up the reins here in the Outback era of X-Men. So number 4 was Mark Silvestri for me. And number 3, as we wind it down here, Lady Fantastic.
Paul Smith.
Okay.
Just these are some iconic issues, iconic covers, and the characters as that I recall them in my mind. Paul Smith, he didn't do very many, but they left a dang impression on me, and I loved it. So yeah,
and that's something about his art. It's not like he's very
the lines are so clean.
Yeah, it's just like he's just so clean. I've got a commission by him of Rogue in that era of X-Men.
I love it.
But
so,
yeah,
Paul Smith for me, sir.
Definitely a strong pick. Definitely
number 3.
Number 3, Mr. Collector. What say you for your number 3?
All righty, I have Dave Cockrum.
Okay.
I mean, he gave us some amazing characters. I mean, what you got? Hold on a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix right there. I mean, he did the new team, not the new team, but he did Storm. I think Storm is probably his best character. I think he helped design, or he designed, in my opinion. From what I read, and I wrote this down because I was reading it. He Storm, Nightcrawler, and Colossus. He was originally going to introduce them in Legion of Superhero storyline.
Right, that's right.
I didn't know that at first, but I did find that out not too long ago. So I thought that was interesting. So I wanted to kind of share that out. But I mean, I think he definitely deserves this spot right here, number 3. This is amazing work.
Yeah, I just picked up a X-Men 101 the other day.
I saw that.
And so definitely yeah, he had a heralded run on Legion too, and those were some of the characters that did end up getting used. Fang, that was later used, that costume was originally supposed to have been for Wolverine. So all right, Mr. Prasis, what say you for your number 3?
I'm going with Whilce Portacio.
Okay.
Which is also was a lot. The first time that Whilce Portacio takes over is written by John Byrne and Jim Lee, and the big character that comes out.
Oh yeah, 282,
oh, wow.
283.
Well,
oh, it's signed. Get out of here, Jim Lee.
That's cool.
Get out of here.
Whilce Portacio right there.
Oh shoot.
That's cool.
Jim Lee right there.
Wow.
The only one I'm missing is John Byrne.
That's awesome.
Good luck on John Byrne. He's
Well, I met him a couple of years ago, but he was like, it's not just that he was signing, but you had to go through CBCS. He wouldn't let you in. I mean, this wasn't gonna be signed. Wasn't going anywhere, but going from Houston to Dallas with a short box, I can't, wasn't gonna fit this in. And
so that's Lady's favorite X-Men, by the way. I don't know
Stop.
But carrying it around all over the convention center and all that, no, it was not going to come back looking like this.
Yeah,
but, yeah. One of the biggest characters that Jim Lee's ever designed or came up with, or during the second time he takes over X-Men. But Will's portrayal, fantastic job. Good. Oh, and Southern, one more thing.
What you got?
Almost all the books that I've shown are Hallmark Jewelers.
Oh, see, now he's going to go flexing when I said something about it. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
We've all been Mark Jewelers.
Well, I thought about bringing out the first appearance of Kitty Pryde Mark Jewelers I had, but I decided not to.
No.
It wasn't because I didn't want to flex. It was because I was too lazy to pull it out of the slab box. So, fair enough. All right, good deal. So number 3 for me is going to be John Byrne. Like everybody else has already stated, John Byrne just had, a fantastic run on the X-Men. Classic storylines like the death of Phoenix. And no, I cannot win $2,500 right there. And nor is that. And then this is, of course, a later foil edition of the storyline that Collector mentioned earlier of 141. And when you, as an artist, can get people to homage you like a bajillion times,
that's good.
It's good. It's
long thing.
And that book has been homaged so many different times. And the Death of Phoenix one has too.
Yes.
So, from heroes to icons says,
I see
burn,
that.
baby, burn. Oh, there we go. All right, Lady Fantastic. Tell us what your number 2 is.
John Byrne. Uncanny X-Men and the greatest series, the greatest 2-story series ever.
Yeah.
So John Byrne, baby. This is X-Men. John Byrne is X-Men. God dang, thank you, John. Thank you. This is how I was introduced to it. Claremont and Byrne, and let them fight because they just made some beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. He's my deuce. John Byrne. Thank you.
Collector, what say you for your number 2?
Number 2 is where it all started.
Okay.
Jack Kirby. I mean, where do you go from there? I mean, he's the one that, started it. I mean, you got characters that are obviously still here today. I mean, you got Scarlet Witch, you got Quicksilver. I mean, what do you have to say about that? I mean, they're doing shows with these characters, and when this book came out, they're doing movies with these characters, and they even paid homage to the original costume still.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think it's just you start from where it all began, and I think right there, Jack Kirby, obviously he did more than just X-Men, but I mean, this is just one of them, and I mean, I think he deserved number 2. I'm pretty sure people probably put him at number 1, but my number 1 is obviously my number 1, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, that's who I got.
Taylor Winder.
I know. I'm sorry.
All right, so let's go over to Michael. What'd you say for your number 2?
My number 2 is Mark Silvestri.
Okay.
And
hey, okay.
Just picked this up today.
Oh, he's gonna show it.
Just got this today, but like everybody was saying, Goblin Queen, the underboob. What else can you say?
Mm-hmm.
His Storm, I got him to do a sketch for me last year, and he said Storm is his favorite X-Men to draw.
Goblin Queen underboob.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love
I
that.
want that to spread like hashtag Goblin Queen.
Hashtag underboob.
And they're not doing her the way that Silvestri did it. They're doing the side half. They're doing it like the side and the half boob. He
Right.
did
Don't have the
he did
class.
under boob.
Yeah, you bring back the underboob.
And I think that's what I'm gonna ask from him next time is
Underboob.
with the underboob.
It's fair. It's a fair request.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So number 2 for
Number
me
2,
is Jack Kirby,
the King.
a book we seen earlier. And so, like we were talking about earlier, it just felt like wrong not to include one of the creators of the X-Men in a top 10 X-Men. I thought about pushing him like much lower to the lower on the list, but again, I felt like, man, this guy just came up with this stuff out of his mind. And
I put him at 10. I was like the most like what do you call that? Blasphemous.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and and the fact that he was able to come up with all these characters while he's drawing them and draw as many pages a day as what he drew, it's just amazing. So he is my number 2. And as we wrap it up with number 1, Lady Fantastic, what say you?
Dave Cockrum is my favorite. And Tish, look at that pimp.
That's the Cosby.
Cosby era. Oh my gosh. Dave Cockrum. I love Dave Cockrum so much. He drew them the way I have in my heart of hearts. I will always love them.
She's fixing to break out the Whitney Houston.
Like you said, yeah. And so yeah, I live for the Cockrum. Let's see what I did. So, anyways, yeah, number 1 for me, Dave Cockrum. Thank you for your service.
So that one you showed, and Michael showed it earlier when he mentioned Dave Cockrum. That one right there, is that the first appearance of Sprite when she goes by Sprite?
I don't think.
I don't think it is.
What issue is that?
Go down a little bit more.
No, what issue is it, lady?
Oh, this one, 149. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, she had the roller skates, which if you think about like what she was going through, at that time, like growing up. I mean, Kitty Pryde is an example of how you develop a character over the course of time, right?
Yep.
So.
Yeah. So, anyways, just thank you, Dave. My fave, Dave, my fave.
All right, collector. What say you?
Bam, bam, jigga bam. It's Mr. Lee. I love me some Jim Lee. I mean, this is the first image you get from him doing the interior right here. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? First thing you see. So, I mean, Jim Lee, I think he does the best Magneto as well. I think by far he does the best Magneto. I mean, obviously X-Men was popular already before he got there, but who could say that they're going to do, the series with him on it, issue 1, and then sell over 8 million copies? Not saying that it was all him, obviously, but I'm saying I think he drove a lot of people in to where there was more people attached to it.
Yeah.
But I think his art is just, this iconic right here, this wraparound. Like I said, right here, Magneto, just his art. That just screams right there goodness. And I think he is by far the best X-Men artist of all time. But yeah, that's my I think that was all my images. But yeah, that's my number 1.
Good calls, good list. I like it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Michael Prices, what say you?
My next one would be Greg Land.
Oh wow!
Oh, okay.
10 and 1. Oh my gosh! Now I know why. That's beautiful.
Yep. He just draws the women the best. There's controversy with them on what they say that how he draws and from what he's getting the images from.
Right.
But who cares? He not only he took a hiatus because of that, but he came back and he came back strong. And you ask him about it, and he'll say, yeah, whatever.
What
Do you,
was the deal? What was the deal?
they were saying that he was getting images of porn stars and was drawing them.
Because
Yeah,
if you look at the women, they always look omatic.
Yeah.
No.
And I mean, he lived through it. I mean, other people, they say that now they're destroyed by it. Their careers are gone. He's the only one that persevered and kept on going and got hired back by Marvel.
I love Frank Cho though. Frank Cho does that kind of stuff. He's great.
Frank Cho does a lot of cheeky covers too. I asked him
cheeky stuff.
I asked him about those cheeky covers. If you ever look at his Instagram, he posts a lot of that there. And I'm like, where do you come up with this stuff? And he said, I'll be just lying in bed and like this weird idea just comes. And I'm just like, okay, I got to sketch this down. Because it is so funny how he comes up with stuff.
Yes, I agree. All right.
Good pick. And now for my number one pick, it's going to be Jim Lee. This is
Look at that.
So this is was shown earlier. This is the first print here.
Let me get my second print. I'll hold it up.
But the thing about second prints, like I remember back in the day that like they were like taboos. Like who wants a second print? And now it's all the rage,
Yeah.
Like the New Mutants 87, the gold cable one,
Oh yeah, that one's not worth diddly though.
The silver Morbius or like the silver First Carnage, same way. But and much like what Collector said, Jim Lee drew a very stylized and very marketable X-Men. Mm-hmm. So like you drew it so well, people could see the vision that Marvel had of putting them everywhere and on everything. I would say
the most commercially successful.
Yeah.
Versions.
Yeah, definitely. And not to take away from saying Art Adams and Chef Boyardee meatballs, right? Because it was the Art Adams art on the Chef Boyardee.
The weirdest stuff, bro.
I almost got that art.
You should have. That would have been crazy.
I know, and I forgot I was even bidding on it. It was the bad thing. So for me, Jim Lee was number one. Michael made a very good point earlier in the sense that, hey, what did he really preside over? I mean, obviously the blue team and starting the new title and all that kind of stuff was in of itself something, but really like it wasn't like Silvestri and some of these other cats that there was like such great like monumental shifts in the way the X-Men were
or a storyline.
So yeah, I mean it, and that is a good point. Well, and one of the reasons why Claremont is said to have left X-Men before Lee ended up actually ultimately leaving was because Lee was wanting to go back and rehash a lot of the same old stuff. Where Claremont's like, I've been there.
Yeah.
Why do we need to bring this back up? I got a bajillion more stories to tell, right?
Yeah.
And so why rehash all that? But
I think a lot of us had a lot of the same guys, but just different in different rankings.
Well, I was marketing it here, and so me and Lady were the same on Pepe Larraz. We were both at number 9. And then me and Collector were both at number 2 and number 1 at Jack Kirby and Jim Lee, respectively. Other than that, I think most everybody was on that same list, except for Collector's list.
Yeah, my list.
With his Don Heck. But
that was awesome. Sleepers.
But
your face was
what the heck? Okay. There's a pun intended there. All right. So I did have a couple of honorable mentions. Again, when you're trying to narrow it down to the field of 10, it gets a little bit difficult because there's really a solid 15, I think, when you're talking about all the years of X-Men and the 2 main titles. Barry Windsor Smith, the only reason he didn't get picked was because of the amount of work that he didn't do on X-Men as opposed to other ones. But Dave Cockrum was on there, just because I couldn't not pick Jack Kirby. And then another more recent artist is Josh Cassera. And he was doing X-Force at first and then has started doing, which they're fixing to reboot the X-Men title, surprise. But I really like his work. And he's a nice guy, actually. Here we go. So he's doing the X-Men title now.
Very cool.
So, but yeah, so those were my honorable mentions. Any honorable mentions, people that you wish you could have placed on the list, but for one reason or another you didn't, lady?
Nah,
No,
not really.
it was what it was. What about
It
you?
was what it was.
What about you, Collector?
Nah, my list was already weird enough. So
Assume that John Byrne was the number one, right?
He was my number 2.
He was ladies number 2, and then further down the list, my number 3, and further down the list for Michael and Collector. So,
Cochran was my 1. Byrne was my 2.
all right. What about you, Michael? Anybody that you, if you had a couple more spots to pick, you might have threw on that list? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I wouldn't say if there was more spots. I would say honorable mention would be Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
Hey, Christina.
I mean, if I was including like X-Force in that, or like the Infinite Mutants, I mean, Liefeld would have to be on there too. Yeah.
This was a fill-in issue that he did, but I remember when the day that it came out, people were talking about it because he put in so much characters into this one issue, and it was, I think it was between the issue before was Jim Lee, and the next issue was Mark Silvestri. So it was literally a fill-in issue.
Yeah.
And it also has the infamous new Jean Grey in the background.
Alf and aliens and everything else in there.
Yeah. Making fun of DC Comics with the invasion storyline.
Right.
Then he threw in Star Wars, he threw in Boba Fett, Yoda, and all that other stuff too.
It is very subjective.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Jimmy Reyes artist himself says David Finch's mine. David would have definitely been one, just the amount of work that he's done on those titles, like the Second Coming storyline, all those covers that he did across the X titles, just like magnifique. For sure. Christina Payne, thanks for joining us. And yeah, we had put that disclaimer at the start of the show that all of this is very subjective. So no hate mail at all. So
yeah, Michael, I think I made the argument that he was the most commercially successful in bringing in the commercially known version of X-Men was the X-Men he drew.
So, lady, I know that you're fixing to hop on another show. Where can the folks see you at? What you gonna be up to?
So I'm gonna go hop on to the low grades for a little bit if they're having people on, but then I'm gonna be on the Haunt tonight at probably around 10:20, 10:30. I don't know. It's a loosey-goosey kind of situation there, but mostly I'll be showing weird books and talking trash, and it's really fun.
Yeah, talking trash and showing cool books is always fun.
Dude, it's like an art form. At least half of it is.
That's right. Collector, what about you? What I know you got a contest going on your channel.
Yeah, I do. Let me see. I think I still have it pulled up. I could just show it real quick. It is a yeah. Can I show it real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. Doing a 300 subscriber giveaway. Giving away this 9/8 beautiful black. Is it going?
There we go.
There we go. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Black Widow #1, J. Scott. Talk about someone that draws their women right there. That's one right there.
Yep.
So doing that, and to go back on what Michael was saying, I pulled this up, Michael, and like I said, I think Greg Lanton draws the best Storm, and right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that cover.
That one is
yeah,
timeless.
best. Anytime someone sees I find it,
You gotta pick it up.
It's why wouldn't you? But yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm doing my 300 subscriber giveaway. I'm at 165.
I just subbed.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, so All three of these folks are in the description of this video below. I also dropped in Mr. Collector, Jimmy Reyes. Check out the link that I just dropped.
Yeah, go to live chat, Jimmy Reyes. You may not be on live chat.
And I think Jimmy Reyes. Do you know who Hawkeye is? I think he'll know what I'm talking about, referring to there. So check Mr. Collector out. Michael, where can the folks see you and what you're doing next?
Just on YouTube. Besides the auctions with Strictly Comics, unboxing videos, picks that I get at sales, key books, Mark Jewelers, error books, double covers, stuff like that.
All right.
MPressive Comics. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, he knew what I was referring to.
Not savvy enough right now.
So I just dropped Michael's link in the chat, just in case anybody was not familiar. Again, it is in the description of this video.
Oh, thanks, L'Oreal.
But he is just starting his YouTube channel stuff. But normally he's on the Strictly Comics group, hanging out with his buddy Paul, and selling books, or at least trying to, over Paul. If Paul will let him talk. That's
you got that right. But this was fun. I liked it. Thanks a lot, Southern, for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to join.
Same. Appreciate it. And,
I was trying to pull Lady's link up, and I had to put myself on mute to pull her channel up. So I dropped Lady Fantastic. Everybody knows Lady. She's been around longer than I have, at least in the YouTube land. Not on this Terraforma, but Terraforma.
That's what I was about to say too.
But yeah, Michael is the aged guy here in this group.
He doesn't look an age over 29.
Thank you.
So do appreciate, and like, as far as me, my stuff drops ever so randomly. As the thing always implies, the opening always implies. I actually did a Walmart packing of sorts, and I've recorded it and downloaded it, but have failed to upload it. So it doesn't really do much good, huh? So did Burn win, or was it?
He got
rigged?
second for me.
You're not talking about like the minor leagues, right? You're talking about like X-Men, and so it's even as much as he's done, it's you're batting up against some heavy hitters, right? So
yeah.
So but he was in good company. So appreciate everybody for hanging out with us tonight. So until next time, keep reading, keep collecting. Adios.